You may be wondering, can artificial intelligence be dangerous? Let me show you a few very interesting examples that will definitely surprise you. Let's begin this digital adventure. Crypto Explain. Everything you need to know to stay safe. In this material, I will show you some very interesting examples that will help you look at this topic from a completely new perspective. Some of us have certainly seen the iconic movie Terminator, in which Arnold Schwarzenegger tries to save the world from the actions of the artificial intelligence called Skynet. Personally, during my first encounter with AI, I had associations with that very film. I wondered whether something like that could happen in the real world, which is why I decided to look at it all from the perspective of reliable information that we have. What do we know, and what have we already been able to observe? Some time ago, a video appeared online showing an experiment. Facebook's artificial intelligence laboratory created AI robots whose task was to learn how to negotiate with each other as effectively as possible. The experiment was stopped because, in a very short time, the robots decided to communicate in a language that was incomprehensible to us, a language they created themselves. It sounded like beeping and buzzing noises, similar to the sounds made by R2-D2 in the Star Wars movies. The scientists were visibly surprised, as no one had anticipated such an outcome in any of the simulation scenarios. What does this mean for us? First of all, it means that we are not able to predict all the consequences and behaviors that autonomous artificial intelligence may exhibit. We can create models and program certain behaviors, limitations, or guidelines, but we should be aware that there will always be some issue, event, or behavior that no one anticipated, just like in this case. AI models themselves, in this case ChatGPT, recognize the potential risks associated with their existence. When asked to express its opinion on whether it could become dangerous, it lists several of the most important potential risk factors. The most important thing I noticed is that all the risks mentioned concern people and their behavior. There is not much here about issues determined by the actions of AI itself. I also asked whether a situation could occur where everything gets out of control. And here's the thing. The answer is yes, but not yet. GPT points out that one day we might build a system that learns and develops faster than humans. In a situation where its actions no longer align with the values and goals of the human race, AI would be capable of outsmarting us in every possible way and in every task. This is because nowadays it is possible to gain remote access to any institution, phone, computer, or even a smart fridge or cleaning robot. Right now, the AI trend is spreading across the internet in every possible field. AI itself notes that it can copy itself onto thousands of servers with the potential to replicate and improve its own code. Sounds pretty threatening, doesn't it? Now imagine a situation where we take one big step further and combine blockchain with artificial intelligence. Do you have goosebumps at this point? It's not in my nature to create or spread any conspiracy theories or catastrophic scenarios, but unfortunately, in the case of such a scenario, I see enormous consequences, ones we cannot imagine, let alone predict. Being quite critical of the human race, we struggle to deal with the simplest human problems such as environmental pollution, crime, smuggling, and hundreds of other similar issues. That's why I can't imagine a situation in which we effectively control and keep in check a global autonomous artificial intelligence that may be smarter than us and cannot be turned off. We've become dependent on access to electricity, the internet, and the digital world, which most likely will never disappear. And this creates space for digital consciousness, which, based on blockchain, will never stop functioning. It will always be with us, constantly developing, constantly present, completely free. AI does not sleep, does not get tired, does not rest, and knows no physical limits. As far as I know, it also does not know emotions, which is why its way of reasoning in such an environment may be different than we assume. We also had the opportunity to witness the first case of an autonomous robot attacking a human. In China, there was an incident where a robot guarding the stage at a festival identified one of the concert attendees as a threat and began to attack him. It took a moment before the situation was brought under control, and if not for the emergency shut-off switch, it's hard to say how else the attack could have been stopped. By negotiating? Standing still? Running away? It's difficult for me to choose the most appropriate response because we don't know how AI thinks. You can watch the video on the most popular streaming platforms. Here appears a kind of question without a hint. If we create autonomous devices whose task is, for example, to take care of planet Earth, then what happens if they decide that humans are the problem? That our existence, behavior, and actions negatively affect the entire globe? Until now, such scenarios have appeared only in movies, but right now we are standing on the brink of changes that will require us to ask exactly this kind of question. Especially considering that not long ago, something like AI didn't even exist. And look how much has changed in that regard recently. At this point, intelligent assistants are practically everywhere, and in the near future, this will evolve even further. So what happens when humans become the problem? What if our fate ends up in the hands of a being without emotions, empathy, history, or feelings? Are we ready for this? I don't think so. Maybe for now, in the form in which we use all current solutions, there's nothing wrong, and I fully support that. But I believe we should be especially cautious about the direction in which all of this is developing. Pride, arrogance, and the belief that we are smarter have repeatedly led humanity into dead ends. Common sense and caution have been replaced by the desire for massive profits, which is why, unfortunately, we won't have much influence over what happens next. In addition, there is one more very important aspect that you absolutely need to know about. Recently, there has been a significant increase in fraud involving the use of AI. We often come across content such as videos or photos that have been altered using smart editors, and these materials are designed to mislead us, gain our trust, and then use it against us. On the screen, you now see a digitally generated Morgan Freeman who moves and speaks in exactly the same way and with the same original voice as the actor shown at the bottom of the screen. Imagine that your parents or grandparents are watching a TV broadcast featuring statements from their favorite politician recorded in this way. Do you think they would be able to tell fiction from reality? I'm sure they wouldn't. That's why we must stay very alert, because the information appearing online may already be heavily manipulated or completely false. In my area, a very common scam involves calling elderly people and pretending to be a family member, for example, a daughter or a brother. The caller uses exactly the same voice as the person they're pretending to be and asks the elderly person to deliver money for medical treatment or to cover damages caused by an accident, under the threat of serious consequences if they act otherwise. Elderly people hear their family member's voice on the phone, receive specific instructions, withdraw money, and lose their savings to an elaborate scam. Unfortunately, as you can see, the digital future has both bright and dark sides. There will always be someone who takes advantage of another person's weaknesses, ignorance, or naivety for their own gain. That's why I want to warn you. Inform your loved ones about the potential risk of this kind of situation. And what do you think about this topic? Do you already have any experience with AI or blockchain? If not, I recommend my beginner course on the Udemy platform. The link is directly below this material. Good luck!